All right, so for Theater 1, this is how I think you should be able to take notes using both your computer and or if you want to handwrite them. So remember, when we look at our theater course, you don't have the ability to go back through, if you take your quiz, you don't have the ability to go back through and reset your quiz. So what you need to do is make sure you're making good notes the first time around. All right, so one of the, I guess, suggestions I can make for you is to go open a Google Doc. And so I'm just starting here from a blank Google Doc. And this is lesson 1, and it's entitled, What is Theater? Introduction. So what I do is I do a lot of copy and paste from this. So I'm just going to do Control C. Some of you may use the copy feature. So what you would do is just highlight with your mouse the material you want copied and then Control C. All right, and so we will Control V or right click paste, or you can go to Edit, Paste. All right, so what is theater? Introduction. If you watched a play today and all the male parts were played by women or all the female parts were played by men, you probably assume the playwright was just trying to make a point by switching things up. But for centuries, women were not allowed on stage, so all the roles written for women were performed by men. Likewise, on most stages across Europe and North America, only white actors performed even when their characters weren't people of color. British playwright Lolita Chakrabarty won the London Critics' Circle Award for Most Promising Playwright for her 2012 play titled Red Velvet. Red Velvet is a biographical drama about the first Black actor ever to play Othello. Shakespeare's Othello was a Black general in the Venetian army who was undone by a scheming friend, and until 1825, the part had only been performed by white actors. All right, so just this little bit of information we've gotten so far. Our big idea question. So what I always have students do is look at that bold and then just looking at the paragraph, what is it that we're trying to find? Okay. So far we've learned that for a long time, women were not allowed to on stage, and so the roles were written that were women were played by men. Okay, so you can paste that in. Okay. Also, on most stages across Europe and North America, only white actors performed the roles of all characters, even for people of color. All right. So I don't think it's going to be significant, but it might. So you might want to know that this in 2012 was Red Velvet. And then you could go back and just get that person's name. If you're handwriting these, you could pick and choose kind of where you are with things. But I think by doing this, you're going to say, oh, yeah, I remember that. And it will kind of stand out in your mind a little bit better. Remember, the notes are for those who write them and for nobody else. Again, it goes in. Originally from America, Ira Aldridge moved to England at a young age due to the racial discrimination he faced in the United States. In 1825, at the age of 17, Aldridge appeared on stage in London as Shakespeare's tragic hero, Othello. Even though it was a small production, the performance catapulted him into leads in other productions. This forged the way for him to become the first African American actor to establish himself on the international stage. Okay, so I would think that would be, a key moment. So we're going to say that he moved from England. All right. He moved, to England, all right, from the United States. So you could either copy all of that. And so he was able to go into the European circuit and become famous being a Shakespearean tragic hero. So I hope you see kind of what I'm doing here. All right. Now, I'm going to kind of skip through just because, you can get more from that if you want. So what I do is I go kind of to the bold parts. All right, so defining theater. So I'm going to copy that. Make sure you've got your bold feature set. Or if you're handwriting it, you're kind of making this bigger. You can use little arrows, dots, dashes. You don't have to 1, 2, 3, 4. You could just make little tick marks, whatever works for you. All right, the word theater can mean several different things depending on the context, but not the spelling. Have you ever wondered why we sometimes spell it Theater and sometimes spell it Theatre? The British spelling is the RE, and that spelling is often used in the United States for specific buildings and performing groups. The traditional American spelling is theater, which is the version we'll use for this course unless we're noting a proper name. All right, so I don't know if you've ever wondered about that. So I would think that that is important. So what I might even do is to kind of do like this and leave it say British. American spelling, British spelling. Okay. All right, whatever the spelling, though, for our purposes, one specific definition will work. Theater is the performance of acting as a fine art in front of an audience that is physically present at the time of the performance. All right, so we're going to copy that. So, what is theater? That's what it is. That's a big idea concept, looking at this. All right. One last thing I want to make sure you see. So when you see that it is going to list numerous things, okay, so our attention will zero in on plays, musical theater, ballet, opera, stand-up comedy. Okay, so when you see things where it's going to list like multiple things, okay, so what I do, okay, so these are like the different types. Okay, so plays, musicals, ballet. See how I'm kind of breaking it down into these, like I'm making them their own categories. That way, too, if you wanted to be able to define these words, you would kind of have them available for you right there. And then you could just go out here and, define what a play is. All right, so audience, onto your next big term. All right, so this was just a demonstration on how to take notes in your theater course.